Alright guys, we have the top 8 decks from the recent tag game Sydney Regionals in Australia. Guys, a lot of these decks are similar to the North American meta, but it's really nice to see the Australian meta. Let's jump right in. As you can see here, this is Trafalgar Law. One thing I noticed here, they're not running a lot of the Makinos. Even though he's running a bunch of these one costs, he's just not utilizing the Makino for its ability to add power. I think it's just more for the 2K. Also, he's running the Sanji at 1, just potentially for more draw, more options to pick up with the Nami, potentially. But his options are amazing. He can pick up Brook, pick up the Zoro. As you can see, he's running all the laws. But he got rid of one of the restanding laws for the Basil Hawkins, which is honestly very useful. Honestly, I think there's a lot of value in certain matchups for this over the restanding law, but obviously restanding law is just so strong. Being able to play that consistently with your ability is just so strong. He is running the Luffy for maybe ending games potentially at 1. Guys, I think what he's doing is he's trying to limit his ability to draw into things that have no counters. And if he is going to draw into something that has no counter, he wants to play it immediately. So as you can see, he's Basil Hawkins and Monkey D. Luffy is just not taking a lot of priority, but they are going to be played. You're not going to play a lot in the deck because you don't want to get a lot of non-counter cards, but you want to still see these cards so you can play them. So it makes sense he's running them, even though just at 1 and in the best of 1, but still makes sense why you would run them. Obviously, when you're running Law, you're not going to run a lot heavy into the events. Maybe 1 Radical Beam is enough. Besides that, I would have ran 4, but you can't run 4 anymore. But yeah, guard point's still another good option. As you can see here, running 1-1. But yeah, guys, interesting deck. Let's move on to number 7th here. Minky Huang, his white beard. This is a straw beard deck. Not running a lot of straw beards, though. Not running a lot of the straw hats. Only 2 of the Namis, but obviously every straw beard deck, you're going to run at least one 20-20 chopper. Because we lost all our Makino, all our Marcos, it's really useful to run this at least 1 off. Sanji here, no Monkey D. Luffy's 2Ks counters, but he's running the Jozus. He's running a combination of Atmos and Monkey D. Luffy for the 6K. He's really heavy on the 6K. He wants to play that out ASAP, either playing a vanilla or playing into the Marco, whichever allows him to. Whichever's in the hand, really. Monkey D. Luffy is there as well, another option. You could play this early. Honestly, I like playing this towards the late game, and then after playing him, maybe go into another ace, just keeping the pressure on the opponent. But yeah, guys, running heavy on the events a little bit with 1 Red Hawk, a couple of Whitebeard Pirates, and the guard points. Really stable deck. He's still heavy on the Whitebeards, but with Thatch at 3, but still can rely on some of that search as well. Insane. I really like this because you can search for your counters with or your blockers with your Nami, and then you can search for your heavy hitters with Aizo, whichever you like. But anyways, guys, let's move on. Number 5 here, Koi Nguyen Zoro deck. Interesting Zoro. Let's see how they're running Zoro in Australia. They are running a lot of the removal, so he's running Fire Fist at 4, which is huge. Fiery Doll here, guys, plus 4,000 to your leader for this turn. Really can shut down. Well, this is only during the main, but I think he's running also for the trigger at 2. He's also running 1 Diable Jambe. That's very strong towards the late game. And then obviously guard points at 4. Wow, this is heavy on the events, but let's see his characters here. He is running Blamenko, the 2 off, 2 cost. Give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2k. Wow, can surprise the opponent with minus 2k and still getting a counter. Really nice to see. Zoro obviously at 4. Marco only 1 off. Another Marco. He's not running anything bigger than 5 cost, so he's really utilizing his really cheap units here, and at the same time controlling the opponent. Wow, really nice to see this Zoro able to do heavy control and still being able to top in top 5. That's amazing to see, guys. Moving on, we have Trafalgar Law, number 4, Benjamin Tao. Let's see the difference in this deck. It's still running guard points, but he is running Eustace Kid at 2 and Basil Hawkins at 2, so he just removed the Monkey D. Luffy rush completely. seeing more value in the 𝐒𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐓 utility and 𝐒𝐈𝐓 kit. I mean, running 2 𝐒𝐈𝐓 kits means you're seeing at least 1 per game. So he's really heavy on that 𝐒𝐈𝐓 kit, I think. Also, he must have removed 2 of his Beges for the 𝐒𝐈𝐓 to fit the 𝐒𝐈𝐓. He is running the Zoros. He's running the Robins here instead of the Vistas, which I see insane value there. Obviously, you can search into her with your Nami, but also that's a 4K power that only needs 1 Dawn to become a 5K, and you start attacking to the opponent. Whereas the Vista would have been a little bit more expensive, giving it 2 Dawn just to start attacking. So I really like to see the Robin there. But yeah, guys, he's not running a lot of events. He's just keeping the board full and then trying to utilize Basil Hawkins and then restand abilities with Law. And obviously this Law is kind of broken. It's really, really broken. They need to balance it. But anyways, let's move on to number 4, 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐄𝐓. Another Zoro. A lot of control here, guys, running Fire Fist and Jet Pistols at 4 and 2. He is running 1 new gate, but that's it. Obviously can't run anymore. Then Marco at 4. He is running Brook here. This Brook is really good because when he attacks, he just he gets rid of big blockers. Like the 5-cost blocker can't block anymore. Becomes a 4K. And it's really, really effective, guys. Or it makes the big 𝐒𝐈𝐓 8-drop absolutely useless. It's really a good way for you to get around the 8-drop. Yeah, Zoro at 4, Jozu at 4, so he's running Izo to pick up the Jozu, and then obviously Curly the Dawn. It's just the normal shenanigans of Zoro, but he is actually running Tony Choppers. We don't see a lot of Zoros running this. Usually they utilize maybe more Brooks, or they'll run into more Luffy's 6 drops, 5 drops. But yeah, the rush Luffy. But yeah, looks like this is actually utilized in the Zoro being able to block for 1. Really useful. Wow, really interesting deck. I really like this. Just straight Whitebeard Zoro with just the rush Zoro in the game. Besides that, it's all Whitebeard and this Brook as well. Interesting. I wonder why he didn't run the Fosa if he's gonna run a bunch of Whitebeard. Maybe he just, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe he just wants to pick up the Tony Chopper with the Curly the Dawn as well, having more options to pick up. Yeah, makes sense. Makes actually a lot of sense. But yeah, guys, that's a really cool deck. Get inspired for the Zoro. And let's move on to number 3, Rob Lucy here. Let's see how they run Rob Lucy. It is CP9 with Air Door at 4, Impact Wave at 2, only 1 Kuzan. He is running the Shanks here, the brand new Shanks. You may trash 1 card from your hand, KO all characters at cost 1. Very, very heavy in utility. It doesn't have counter, so it's tough, but honestly, towards the late game, for example, let's say you have a Kuzan already on the board, yeah, this will end games. This will get rid of everything on the board. Absolutely huge. Makes sense why he would run this Shanks, but I thought he would run more Kuzans if he's gonna run a Shanks like that. And obviously that's a very late game strategy, but it's very effective actually. This Shanks is very effective against Zoro, very effective against Law, but it's just a little bit too late in the game. Maybe to see more utility. But ISHO is obviously at 2 allows it to be more effective, being able to play it a little bit more early. Sakazuki at 3. It's tough to play Sakazuki at 4 just because it doesn't have counters. But Blueno obviously 4. If you're going to run CP9s, you're going to run Blueno, Kako, Komaduri, Barcelino, obviously, Khalifa, Tashigi, Wanze. You can run the Wanze. You could also run Kobe. I think Kobe is more value. You get that plus 1k. It is 1 more cost, but you get that plus 1k, and it does basically the same thing that this does, but better, because this only removes the cost of 1, that Kobe removes the cost of 3, as well as Fukuru and the Spandam. He's actually run the Spandam at 4. Obviously you need to run the Spandam. Is he your CP9? Yeah, he's your CP9 searcher. But yeah, guys, just a straight CP9 Rob Lucy deck making it work. Let's go ahead, number 2, Edward Newgate, Whitebeard. Yikes, this is a scary looking Whitebeard. Let's look at this deck really quickly. This is a Strawbeard deck with Nami at 2. This is the Nami that gives you Dawn. Oh, wow, that's a little bit scary. This is He got rid of that Nami, the searching Nami for this Nami. But you can't even pick her up with your Nami, so it's kind of useless to be there. But it's just there for the extra Dawn. Looks like he's running one Monkey D. Luffy, although he could have just ran 4 Sanjis. He's running the Fusa at 3. He's running the Frankies and the Atmos. That's it. That's a 6K, just Frankie and Atmos. Running 2 Thatch. Running a lot of Rush, though, with the Ace and the Luffy. And then Red Hawk at 2. So it's probably very useful. But yeah, guys, very straightforward deck. I mean, it's the same deck that we've seen with a lot of Whitebeards, just adding a couple of Fusas. There's no Tony Choppers. Instead, we have the Namis. And then you're still utilizing a lot of the Whitebeard power. And your Straw Hats are just basically for counter value. Alright, guys, last deck here. Trafalgar Law, Jeremy, Alex, Ong. Congratulations. Good job with your Law. Law is a very strong deck, guys. Can make it work. No set 3 cards. Still extremely effective. This is exactly the same list as we saw earlier with, I think, the number 5 Law here. Wow, it's very similar. It's the same exact list. It's literally the same exact list. So obviously they've worked together on building this list, but yeah, wow. Absolutely impressive to see. This list is doing a lot of work. If you want to win another OP3 regionals, this is the list to use. 2 Eustace Kid, 2 Basils. Whoever was using Basils, they were on the right track. You just don't want to utilize a lot of the Beges. Instead, go for those Basils. And wow, I can't believe these lists are exactly identical and both of them top 5. And this one actually won the whole tournament. Absolutely amazing to see, guys. Interested in your opinions, go ahead, leave them down below. What do you think about these decks? Are you actually going to start running Law, or are you just going to keep it keep it real? Leave your comments down below. I'm interested to know. See ya.